Hello, I'm Jordan from Movintracks. Welcome to our live tutorial. I think we're just going to hold on for 1 or 2 more minutes. So hold in there, and we'll get going in a minute here. Okay, let's get going. So again, I'm Jordan from Movintracks. If anyone is having trouble hearing me, just let me know. You should be able to use the question feature. Let me just make sure on that. Yep, chat is enabled. You can also, there it is, enable chat. So you can also ask questions here if you have any questions during the presentation. And if it makes sense, I'll answer it then and there, or we have a FAQ time at the end, so I'll be sure to get to them. No worries. And if you are having trouble hearing me, I do see raised hands immediately. So if there's any kind of technical difficulties, just raise your hand and I'll. So just a brief introduction. Just want to give you all a warm, sunny welcome, a bienvenido from Barcelona. Our software helps museums, retail stores, events, banks, etc. integrate proximity technology into your apps. It's incredibly flexible, simple to use, and it's really inexpensive at just 15 euros per month. And if you guys want to dig in yourselves, I'll give you a free 1-month code that will work for you for at the end of the webinar. So yeah, the goal of this is that in 30 minutes, you'll not only be inspired by the potential of beacons, but you'll feel just about ready to launch your own campaign. And we know there's a learning curve to any technology, so we just want to offer as much support as we can on the webinar, or you can email me, or you can get going on Skype. We want to be available to you. And we'll have the FAQ at the end too. So let me just pull up our little Google presentation here. 1 second. So yeah, some of you may have been using our platform for a while. Others may be experts in beacons but never used our platform. So the hope is that there's something for everybody. If you're more interested in learning about beacons or learning about beacon platforms, ours in particular, I won't be too offended if you zone out for either half. We have beacon basics and best practices, beacon troubleshooting, and then we dig into our dashboard and we set up a campaign. So, beacon basics and best practices. First, what are beacons? Basically, an indoor positioning system. It enables smartphones or other similar devices to perform actions when in close proximity to a beacon. So unlike Bluetooth in the past, which was just a vampire for energy, these just take a few percentage a day. Retail locations, for example, can utilize beacons that connect to the phones, and you can push content through Bluetooth, basically. Who's using them? A lot of big brands, from Virgin Airlines to Starbucks to McDonald's. Many are jumping on it. And in general, they're known for their retail functionality, but they're also popular at events and museums, at sports stadiums, in the metro. We even just wrote an article about beacons at an alpaca petting zoo. So they're not just for retail, and they're not just for big brands either. There's a lot of small to mid-sized businesses using them as well. One cool example is Pizza Hut. They're letting you order pizzas from your car dashboard, and when you get the beacon notifies the servers that you're there, and you have a hot steaming pizza ready for you. Hoping it gets to Barcelona soon, but right now it's just in California. Another cool example, Starwood Hotel. They're giving you Bluetooth entry to your rooms via the Apple Watch. So there's some really interesting and innovative uses already. Just to kind of share that show a bright future for beacons, 37% of big retailers in the US will launch a beacon program by the end of the year. Forbes believes that beacons will be involved in 4 of the 5 trends that all brands will be using by 2020. No, that's a good time away, but it's good to get going early. The 4 include showrooming, which is like sending information out to entertain visitors, kind of like what museums do. Also analytics, mobile payment, and even as a sales assistant. Just one more. Business Insider expects beacons to directly influence $4 billion worth of U.S. retail sales, not sometime in the future, but this year. And that's just at top retailers, and that's just in the U.S. We have clients all over the world in 25 different countries, so other markets will be seeing them heavily as well. And that number in the U.S. is expected to climb tenfold by the end of 2016. So all that goes into why they are so exciting. But there are just so many different ways to use them. You can send a coupon to attendees that follow you on Twitter and a particular sports stadium section. You can prompt the first chapter of a book when someone walks into your bookstore. You can give visitors your V card 10 minutes after leaving, for example. So there's just a lot of flexibility with them. But as with any technology, there are some concerns, from security to privacy to spamming, and using your app and you turned on. Still, many outside the US do not. So how can we implement them effectively with that in mind? Don't send 1,000 messages, for one. Don't send obvious spam with no benefits. Always, always, always be offering value. Also, educate about Bluetooth energy. As I was saying, it takes a lot less than it did before. About 2 to 5% of battery power if left on for 24 hours, depending on the phone. And of course, use quality hardware and software. A couple slides here on beacon hardware. So when purchasing your physical beacons, you want to keep in mind a few things. The battery length, they'll have different lengths. You don't want to be replacing them very often, unless, for example, you're working at an event. Housing, keep in mind, we want them to be well designed. They're going to be outside. They have to be pretty hardy, pretty sturdy. Also, find out what chip they're using, and if they have a quality antenna, so you can kind of get a better idea of how strong the signal strength is. Where the manufacturers are. If you do have issues, you want them to be close. Plus, keep the shipping costs down. And are they easy to configure? If you need to change the UID or the major and the minor, yeah, just some things you want to keep in mind. And as far as beacon software, you want to know if it's easy to integrate. Are there good docs available that are well written and clear? Yeah, just easy to put it into your app. And if it's possible on iOS and Android. Is it flexible and scalable? What can you do with it? How many resources are available in the API, endpoints available? If you want to switch from beacons to NFC to geofencing to even QR codes, is that possible? So you want to have a good amount of flexibility. Is it secure and stable? What type of authentication system does it use? How often is it updated? You want it to be updated to prevent bugs, but also stable. So ask if they have agile shipments of new versions. You may even want to just ask for specifics of their most recent update. And yeah, it should be REST API. You want an API that uses statistics, has raw data available, and has access to everything you need to create content. Is it beacon agnostic? Does it work with just beacon, or if you decide to change your hardware, is that going to be an easy process? So just some things to keep in mind about hardware. Rather than building developers never work with beacons, you want a well-known platform, one that takes all this seriously. And it does make life a lot easier for your app developer. Plus, it would be embarrassing if the proximity functionality in your app stops working because the SDK and API you integrated are not up to date with best practices. So send hardware provider some of these questions and make sure you know who you're getting into business with. So once you get the software and hardware down, ready to get your campaign going. So before we dig into that, beacon troubleshooting. Like I said, you want to pick good hardware, but even still, sometimes you can't get your beacons working. Usually one or separate. So yeah, for you to look back on when you are actually getting a campaign going. Just a helpful resource. So the dashboard overview, just run through these campaigns. They configure the interactions that will happen on the user's device. Points, they configure the interest points where the beacons will be installed. Reports, you get information and monitor the campaigns, and you learn how to improve. Profiles, just configure your main settings. You can put a logo in, put your own custom colors there, the UID, yeah. And then finally, wake up devices, which sends a signal to all the mobiles with the app installed to download new campaign content. Only do that if you really know what you're doing. So it's pretty simple. We tried to keep it very easy to use with just these 5 menu elements, and you kind of depth once you get going with it. So after the overview, let's set up the campaign. So first step, set up your beacons. So the troubleshooting slide. And then let me just show you what it looks like. I'm going to pull up our Hold on 1 second. And here is our dashboard. So like I said, campaigns, points, reports, profile, wake up devices. Very simple interface. So each point, this is the first step. Each point, you can find them here, needs to have at least one beacon, but you can have more if you want to cover a bigger area or add specific points of interest. So this is where you create them. And then the points are grouped into different zones. So you have to assign and yeah, each zone is linked to a actual geographical area, a geofence. If you want, you can just have a geofence there. I can go into more details at the end of the presentation, but let's get a zone going here. Barcelona. So in general, get it going a little bigger than you normally would, just to test out. So save that zone. You can also type in an address here. You can add NFC tags if you want to as well. So we'll do a new point. And Barcelona campaign. Put in the major and minor for your particular beacon. The ID is in your profile, and that should be the same. It's good beacon best practice to have the same UID and then identify the beacons based on major and minor. So there we have it. You got your point and your zone all set up. So next step is create your campaign. So go to the campaign section. Just make sure you're able to see all this. Yep. I do see that there's a raised hand. If there's something up, you can. There should be a chat box available to you. If you can't hear me, if there's any questions, just shoot a message over. I'll be able to see it. So yes, not seeing a question, but if you do have one, feel free. So you can go to the campaigns to get the campaign going. Just simply click new campaign, name it. Parts PCM. Start date. And today. If you have an NFT tag, this is where you put it. You can just do only once, but you can have it once every second. Don't recommend that. Like I said, don't send 1,000 messages, but you can have it once every 10 minutes or even days. You can deliver in the background as well. So actually, I'll just do it once every 2 minutes. Here's the trigger section. This is what you need to do to lead to an interaction, lead to an action. And so we will pick Barcelona campaign. Like I said, if you don't want to use beacons, you can just use the zone. But if you are using beacons, click this proximity campaign with beacons and link your points. You can have it far, near, and immediate. and you can launch the campaign on entering or exiting the location. We'll do entering. You can add other triggers here if you want to. If they follow you on Twitter, for example, after a certain period of time, you can target specific customers. Or if they haven't visited a certain point, you can target them as well. So there's that. We'll add an action here. There's 16 different actions, and there should be more soon. So there's a lot of flexibility. For example, you can launch a flashlight app if it's 7 p.m. near your store. Or you can have a video play, or you can have them view a social profile or post an image. There's just a lot you can do. You can deliver coupons too, obviously, or show different types of information, have it vibrate, play an audio message, just a lot you can do. And you can do target as well. So we'll just keep it simple, show an alert title, show the love. Por favor. Click finish, save and activate campaign. Campaign is created. So let me just dig into the profile real quick. This is where you can get the API, and this is where you can download the SDK. This is where the UID is. API key and API secret. Yeah, all the information you need is there. And if you want to have social profiles as well, that's where it is. So now that you have we've launched a campaign, you can see some reports. You can also use the raw data to create your own reports too, but here's what we have all set up, cooked and ready to go for you. Just the total delivered campaigns, different point setup with number of visits, average visit length, the zones, again with number of visits, average visit length, the just visits here, try to keep it really visual for you. If the coupon are used, plus you can conduct surveys and you can request answers, and they'll show up there too. So yeah, there's a lot of data you can see already, and you can use it to improve your campaigns for the future. So yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, shoot them on over. If not, there's a couple more things we can talk about very quickly here. There's a couple minutes left. Let's pull up the slideshow. Yeah, but there you have it. Less than half an hour. Simple as that. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. If you do have any, just let me know. Let me just dig into using geofence here really quick in the last couple minutes. As I was saying, geofence is a geographical zone that administrators of proximity marketing campaigns define virtually, like we just did in the tutorial. So you can send messages, content interactions to users, even if they're not using the Bluetooth beacons, and they don't have to have Bluetooth enabled, obviously. And you can use all of the triggers that I just showed you, all of the actions, and yeah, it's not quite as accurate as beacons, but if you want to get a campaign going quickly and don't want to worry about the hardware, you have the software for it. And another update, you can now use PhoneGap with Movintracks. If you're looking to launch a brand new app and you want to launch it in Android and iOS, this is a really easy way to create it. You can just build it once in HTML and it'll be good for both. So yeah, this is for people that already have an app built, but it kind of opens up the possibilities a bit more. So those are the two most recent updates from Movintracks. Again, any questions? I'm here. If not, we can close out here. If you do have any questions, the email is right there, hello@movintracks.io. Love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at jordan@movintracks.io for more case studies, more news, more practical advice. We do keep ibeaconsblog.com updated very regularly. One new article Monday through Friday. It's a good place to keep up to date with Beacon best practices and news. Well, I think we'll close out. So thank you for attending. Again, get in touch if you need any help. And yeah, we'll see you with your beacons all launched. Hasta luego.